Hi and welcome to Matt's Music. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at 10 albums that sound absolutely fantastic so that you can really put your sound system through its paces and get all the juicy details out of your music. So today we're going to be looking at some brilliantly recorded, brilliantly mixed and brilliantly mastered albums that make the joys of listening to CD absolutely fantastic. Now, I know that some of your favourite bands will have awful sounding recordings and they're scratchy and they're muffled and they're not very clear and there's really not much to write home about them, but you love the music. And it's not about that. I'm not saying you should only listen to these because they sound audiophile or something. But what I am saying is that if you really want to drink in the details of beautiful music, and these are all incredible albums in their own right, by the way, but on top of that, they actually happen to sound pretty damn good. So first in, we're going to be having a look at the Beatles. This is Abbey Road. This was the first set of Beatles albums that were released on CD in the mid-80s. I believe this one came out in 1987. They were analog... They were AAD basically, so analog recorded obviously because it was 1969 when it came out, analog mixed, so that it was the original mixed, and then it was only mastered digitally in order to transfer it to CD. So it keeps all of the original juicy details that were in those original analog tapes when it was first recorded at Abbey Road Studios in 1969. And of course the other thing to remember is that over time tapes wear out, right? The sort of magnetic sort of information on them degrades over time, and so this one coming out in 1987, it was only 18 years after the original sort of vinyl records were released to the public, so they were still relatively fresh compared to now where you're looking at sort of lots and lots of decades later. Those tapes might not be in quite such good condition, and so you then have to use more digital horsepower in order to sort of get stuff back out of them, but here they were fairly pristine. I believe the 1987 version of Abbey Road is the best sounding version of this album on CD. So if you can find a copy of that, go and pick it up. You will not be disappointed. Next up, of course, we've got Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. Now, this is, of course, one of the most famous albums of all time, one of the, if not the best-selling album of all time. And it also happens to be, show it the right way around, doesn't actually matter, does it? It's the same prism and, rainbow effect on either side. But nevertheless, go and buy this album for two reasons. One, because it is just an amazing album, and just a landmark in musical history. And I love this one. I love The Wall. I love everything really by Pink Floyd. Wish You Were Here. Probably a little bit easier in some ways to get into, but I love even the weird stuff like Omaguma and stuff. Metal is very good. It's Pink Floyd, isn't it? But Dark Side of the Moon, the way they were recording these albums at the time really did break a lot of, sort of rules at the time, and broke a lot of new ground. Sounded very, very good. Get one of the early ones onto CD like this and it will sound beautiful. So I highly recommend that. Next up, we're going forward in history a little bit. This is Daft Punk. Of course, it's Random Access Memories, and it came out, I believe, in 2013 or 2012. 2013. Again, it's beautiful. It's digital all the way through, this one. It's got some amazing tracks on it, but it sounds incredible. Every single one of them is so rich and sumptuously mixed and recorded and mastered that it really does sound a treat on CD. So that would be awesome to listen to. I would say with all these, they sound amazing on vinyl too. But for CDs, CDs can be a bit hit and miss, and so you want to get nice versions of things that haven't been, sort of compressed to hell in the loudness wars. And these versions are those. Next up, we've got Dre, 2001. Again, absolutely fantastically produced album. Sounds amazing. This one and Chronic. I was going to include Chronic in this list as well, but I felt I really couldn't because this one happens to be a digitally remastered edition and doesn't sound as good as the original. This is a placeholder one until I get around to replacing it with an original copy. But yeah, 2001 absolutely does sound Incredible. Right, next up, Miles Davis. So many of his albums sound tremendous. They were really, really nicely recorded at the time with very, very good quality tape. And so whether or not you got it on vinyl, I've got Bitches Brew up there on vinyl. I've got quite a few of his CDs. But I'm going to go Kind of Blue simply because it sounds absolutely beautiful on CD. Columbia Records have done a really, really good with this whole series of releases that they did for Miles Davis, and this one sounds absolutely superb. I highly recommend it, particularly if it's like, if you're sort of getting into jazz. Like, this is like the sort of album I always recommend to people if they wanted to put their toe into jazz. You can't go wrong with a bit of Kind of Blue. Next up, we've got Norah Jones. Again, she's one of these artists that, pretty much all of her stuff is really, really nicely done. But this particular one, this is Little Broken Hearts. It was produced by Danger Mouse, and it was done for Blue Note Records. Everybody involved was extremely experienced in producing high quality, beautiful sounding music, and of course that really enhances Norah Jones' absolutely beautiful voice. So any of Norah Jones' work, all of her output, I think sounds good, really, really good. But this particular one, Little Broken Hearts, sounds absolutely fantastic. So check that out if you want something that sounds really, really tremendous on your CD player. Next up, we've got Eva Cassidy, another one of my favourite singers. So this is Live at Blues Alley. This is a live recording, and it was just recorded in a little blues club in Chicago in the 90s. When was this? 1996, I believe it was recorded. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful live recording. You really feel like you're there with her in the club. The sort of, the ambience of it all is present on the record. It's a beautiful, warm, rich recording that totally enhances the absolutely fantastic sound of Eva Cassidy's voice. And I highly recommend you check that out because it's absolutely just breathtaking. It will bring a tear to your eye. It is that gorgeous. And another one I would say that's in a similar line is another live recording. This is Nina Simone, My Baby Just Cares for Me. This was recorded live at Ronnie Scott's, the famous jazz club in Soho in London. If you're from the United Kingdom, then you will know that. Probably anywhere you are in the world, frankly, if you're into sort of jazz and blues and stuff, you will know Ronnie Scott's. It's a beautiful place, wonderful venue. And just absolutely everybody over the years has been there. This was recorded in the 80s, I believe. 1987. This one is on Castle Communications. I believe Castle Communications were like one of those you can sort of like send off for stuff in the mail kind of deals. I don't think it was. It was recorded in 1984. This came out in 1987, but it was so well recorded in the first place. I think they've just taken those expert recordings and they happen to be the people that put it out. I don't think they had much to do with actually, the recording or the mixing or the mastering of it in any way. They just bought the rights to use it. But whoever it was that did that original recording did a phenomenal job. And Nina is just so beautiful on this. I mean, she's always amazing. She's Nina Simone. But on this particular record, it's one of my favourites of all time. And I highly recommend you check that out. This live at Ronnie Scott's from 1984, My Baby Just Cares for Me. And finally, we have got Michael Jackson's Thriller. Now, this is one of the rare examples of where a remaster can actually sound absolutely fantastic. And it's really just to do with the people that were involved in putting this one out. So this one came out, I believe, in the 90s. It was re-released. So what is that? Oh, 2001. So yeah, I mean, in the normal way of things, that would ring alarm bells for most people that are aware of the Loudness Wars because it's right in the teeth of those. But Quincy Jones had a hand in doing this, so he oversaw the entire production of it and was keeping an eye on things to make sure that when it was redone, nothing was ruined from the original. And there are only a few people in the world that, if you're of the caliber of a Michael Jackson, you would trust to remaster your records. And of course, one of those names immediately that springs to mind would be Bernie Grundman, and that is indeed who has remastered this. So it's got probably the best mastering engineer on the planet doing it. You've got Quincy Jones producing it, who produced the original one. And yeah, this absolutely sounds fantastic. And so it loses nothing from the original, frankly. But you also get some bonus stuff on this particular edition too. There's like some interviews with indeed Quincy Jones, I believe. I can't remember what's on it now. I think there's an interview with Quincy Jones about how it was made the first time. And then there's a home demo of Billie Jean from 1981 on it. Some other stuff as well, but it sounds wonderful, and that's why it's in this list, because it sounds terrific. So just to recap, these are the albums that if you want brilliant sounding stuff, if you've got a new set of speakers or something, or just enjoy beautiful sounding music at its highest and most wonderful fidelity on CD, we've got the 1987 Beatles Abbey Road, we've got the 2001 Bernie Grundman remastered Thriller from Michael Jackson, we've got Nina Simone, My Baby Just Cares For Me, recorded live on the 17th of November 1984 at the famous Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club in London. We've got Eva Cassidy live at Blues Alley Blues Club in Chicago from 1996. We've got Norah Jones, Little Broken Hearts, produced by Danger Mouse and released in 2012 on Blue Note. We've got Miles Davis on Columbia Records, Kind of Blue. We've got Dr. Dre, 2001. We've got Daft Punk, Random Access Memories from 2013. And we've got, of course, Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, which, of course, celebrates its 50th anniversary this year. Me recording this video in the year 2023. And, of course, the album itself came out in 1973. So that's it. Let me know on the list which ones of those you will be playing on your system to check it out, or if in fact you've got a favourite one where you want to sort of like show off how lovely your sound system sounds, or just drink in the best quality audio you can possibly get out of your system. What do you put in your CD tray to press play to get the best out of your hi-fi system? Leave a comment below. As always, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.